I'm super excited for our Galentine's Day themed class, and I will be demonstrating all of you how to get a glowing foundation base as well as a faux lash, and finalizing that look with a bold and glittery lip. So grab your products and let's get ready to start. I also want to let you guys know that Blushington will be giving you all a nice discount on all of our products today. If you use code LOVE20, you can get 20% off of all products in the website, not just the ones that I'm talking about today. If you want to book one-on-one classes or group classes, once again, you can visit the blushington.com for all of the information on our online classes taught by senior artists. And we're going to go ahead and get started, and we're just going to talk about some of the products we're using. So I already do have on a primer, and I already do have on my BB cream. Usually if I'm just going out and about for an everyday makeup, the BB cream or the CC cream is totally fine for my level of coverage that I feel like I need. But for a special event or a date night, obviously I want to bump it up, especially if we're going to be taking photos. So the foundation I'm going to be using today is the Becca Aqua Luminous foundation. And I'm using shade Fair, but there are other shades available. So if you need a shade recommendation, feel free to reach out. I like this one because it has a little like medicine dropper type deal going on, so it's a lot easier for me. I'm just gonna use a dab. And I like to actually mix my foundation with a liquid highlighter. So this is the Shimmering Skin Perfector by Becca, one of my very favorite products. Sometimes if I'm really tan in the summertime, I'll use Opal, but today I'm gonna go ahead and use Moonstone. Have all my brushes today, so I know that we've got both experienced and beginner makeup artists online with me today, so I will be telling you what all of these wonderful brushes are for. So first I'm going to grab something nice and small that I can control. This has got a flat surface. You can see it's nice and wide, but it's also flat. These are great for any kind of creamy product. So I'm going to be using the back of my hand as my palette, and I'm mixing the foundation with the highlighter together. And then I'm just going to go ahead and apply it the way I would my regular foundation. I get this all the time. People ask if they can use their fingers. You can. I do use my fingers for certain products simply because I feel like they melt into the skin a little bit better with the warmth of your hand. But some products really do need a brush. And I feel like this is one of them because it's just too messy otherwise. Now this Aqua Luminous foundation has a very light coverage, which is why I like it, because I can build up the coverage where I need it. I don't have to put it everywhere. Using a wet beauty blender, I'm going to go ahead and start putting that foundation on. A lot of people have issues with foundation because, you know, they don't want it to be cakey. If you're having issues with your foundation and it is coming out cakey, there's a lot of things that could be happening. It could be a skin thing. Obviously, the best #1 step to having good makeup is good skin, but it could also be a formulation. It could just not be a formula for you. I know that there's tons of foundations that don't necessarily look amazing on me, as well as foundations that I love. And it kind of depends on where your skin's at. But definitely think about your coverage. If you don't want your makeup to show a lot, you want to go sheer. Sheer is where you want to be. The sheerest form of makeup would be a BB or a CC cream or a tinted moisturizer. If you don't have one of those, you can always take your regular foundation to thin it out and mix it with a little bit of your face moisturizer. Don't forget to bring your foundation onto your neck. You don't want to be that girl who's 10 different colors. And if you do have a red carpet planned, then you definitely don't want to be the person who turns and does the cute over the shoulder photo and your shoulder doesn't match your face. That's really embarrassing. So now that I'm nice and blended out with my foundation, as you can see, I am a little bit shiny. I have very dry skin. So for me, I have to overhydrate to get a nice mattifying look. If I try to go in with a bunch of powders or mattifying products, my skin's gonna look like the desert and it's not gonna be cute. So once I have my foundation on, I am going to go ahead and grab my concealer. Now you can use your concealer also as an eye primer. So if you wanna use this step to get some of that concealer onto the lids, then feel free to do that. You always wanna be more light-handed than heavy-handed, because if you get too much on your face, only a makeup wipe can save you, right? But if you build gradually, you can keep stopping and like looking in the mirror and being like, okay, I need to add a little more here, a little more here. And then you can find your way out of the house a little bit easier. But if you are just going right in with all the product, you might end up getting too much and having to take some off. This is my Baby Beauty blender. I absolutely love it for under the eye area. It's also great because it fits in your purse, and all you need to do to work with it is wet it. So you can put it in a little baggie, keep it in your purse, and if you do ever have your concealer crease, then this is something that you can just pull out when you go to the ladies' room and quickly fix. Like I said, I'm getting that concealer up on top of my eye because I do usually mix it with my eye primer. Today, I'm just gonna lay the eye primer over top it. I'm gonna need a little more concealer. If you are wondering what I'm using, it is the Becca Aqua Luminous Concealer. It's got a very lightweight formula, so it's not something that is going to crease if you do have fine lines under the eye area. I do, I think we all do. Well, maybe not all of us. I see some very nice, fresh, young faces on camera today. But there was a time that I didn't have any lines under my eyes, so be wary. I don't want to be like a brand stickler, but I feel the need to say this because there's so many clients that I get who say, oh, I tried this and it didn't work and it was terrible, so I'm never doing it again. Brands vary vastly. So just because something doesn't work with one brand doesn't mean that you're not going to find that product with a better formulation somewhere else. A really good example of that would be Beauty Blender. I actually never used beauty blenders until I started working for Blushington, and it was simply because I had bought the off-brand ones and I tried them and I was like, what is going on? These are terrible. Why are people raving about these? And it was honestly because it wasn't the brand that I prefer. So now I use mostly Beauty Blender brand. If you have an off-brand beauty blender, they're great for powder. I just am not a huge fan with foundation. So I like that. I do want to add a little bit of the concealer to my nose because I do get a little bit more oily there. So I feel like my light foundation might not be enough to stay on. So I am going to do a little bit, almost like a little highlight. If your concealer is a little lighter than your skin tone, that's okay. Just make sure you're doing like a reverse contour and that the rest of your products at least match your skin so that everything can look seamless. I also have a couple of blemishes that I'm trying to cover. Believe it or not, I am actually going to color correct a little bit for you guys. This is my color correction palette by Stila. It's important to me because it has every color I could ever possibly need, no matter what happens, whether I fall and hit my face and have a terrible bruise, whether I'm trying to cover this awful scarring that I have from acne in my teens, or if I am trying to cover my dark circles under my eyes. This is kind of your go-to. It has everything. We only have an hour today, so I'm not going to get super in-depth, but if you have a favorite sports team or a favorite holiday, you can kind of remember how to use color correction tools that way. Christmas is a very popular holiday. The colors are red and green. You can see here we've got green. Green cancels out red. So if you have a pimple, you put green on it, it's going to cancel out any of the redness. Vice versa, if you've got a really horrible green bruise or a green vein, you can put a little peach tone over top or something that has a little of like a red-orange hue, and that will take that down as well. So I'm actually going to be going in with a little bit of this green over a couple of blemishes that I have. And you can use your finger or you can use a concealer brush, whatever you choose. Okay, so I put on my little green corrector. You can see my little spots. And you probably can't even see them too strongly on camera because they are already canceling out some of that redness. And then I'm just gonna go over top again with a little bit of my concealer. To cover that up. Now, when you are covering a pimple, if it is like rough and scabbed up, you're gonna have some trouble covering it. So I do recommend, like, if you get a pimple, don't pop it. Just let it go, treat it, get rid of it. Because otherwise, when you pop it, you're gonna end up with an open wound. It's gonna be seeping fluids. I mean, you can keep throwing powder on it, but it's just gonna look crusty. So, and I know we've all been there, so just be careful with that. I'm gonna go ahead and cover the areas with the concealer. Very lightly. Oh, nice. Okay, I have my chat over here. I should probably have it like a little closer to me. I see a lot of people who like to contour and highlight with concealer. I'm not gonna knock it if it works for you, but it's a lot of makeup. Concealer is thick, concealer is heavy. And if you're getting cakey makeup, I would recommend being a little gentler with the concealer. And also, if you are using concealer as a highlighter, that's fine. I know a lot of people who do it, but don't use that same highlighter concealer to cover blemishes or to cover dark circles. And here's why. If you're not using a color corrector and you go in with a concealer that is too light for you under the eye area where we already have some grayness or some blueness depending on our undertone, you're gonna look gray. You're just gonna make yourself look gray. And when you take a flash photo, it's gonna go right through the makeup. You're still gonna see those circles. And it's just not gonna look good. I definitely don't recommend, if you're trying to hide something, to use a lighter shade because you're highlighting an area that you're trying to hide. The best thing to do is to camouflage. So for camouflaging purposes, your concealer should match you perfectly. For highlighting purposes, sure, do what you wanna do, but I don't recommend adding something that's lighter than your skin tone to an area of the face that you're trying to camouflage, if that makes sense. And if you guys have questions about that, please don't hesitate to put them in the chat. So I'm happy with my face right now. Like I said, I have to overhydrate my skin because I'm so dry. So a lot of people are afraid to use powder. I am one of those people. I used to be terrified to use powder. You do need powder though to set your makeup if you want it to last forever, as well as a good setting spray. So I highly recommend overhydrating your face before you put on powder. That way it looks normal. Because if you don't overhydrate, you'll see what I'm talking about. You might look like a chalkboard. So I'm gonna go in now with just my eyeshadow primer. So go ahead and grab your eyeshadow primers. If you don't have one and you already have concealer on your lids, you can skip this step, just wait. Like I said, I like to mix my shadow primer with my concealer. So the concealer is already on my lid. Now this I do actually like to use with my fingers. Obviously it depends on the product, but I feel like it just melts a little bit better. So I'm using my Anastasia of Beverly Hills eye primer. And I'm just doing a dab. You really don't need a lot. Makeup is expensive, so don't waste all of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and just rub that out. I do like to massage it in right underneath my brow, because even though that's not where I'm gonna take my eyeshadow, I want to be able to blend everything out. And a lot of times people stop with their primer like right here. And then they wonder why they're having trouble blending it out. It's because it's getting stuck and it's stopping where there's no primer. If you don't use an eyeshadow primer, definitely think about trying one. like I said, with different brands, there's tons of different formulations. Not all of them are going to work for you, but I will say that as somebody with extremely watery eyes and oily lids, my eyeshadow would not stay on at all if I do not use a eyeshadow primer. So if your makeup's wearing off very easily, then definitely think about trying a primer out. Next, I want you guys to grab your face powder. You're going to use this face powder or your translucent powder to set both your eyes and your face makeup. You also want to use a brush that's nice and small, especially around the eye area, because for especially women who have any kind of fine lines or texture underneath the eye, powder can make you look terrible. So you have to be really careful. Finding a good powder is the first step, and you do have to try a lot of them. Don't just nix them all because you tried one that was awful. But I'm going to go ahead and use a little face powder here. And I am going to dust off all the excess, and I'm going to just saturate my lid with that face powder. This is going to set the primer or the concealer that you have on your lids, and it's going to make it way easier to blend out any mistakes, should we make any. Great, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to take a little bit more of that powder. And the reason why I'm just going to do this is because I don't want to have to deal with any fallout. I don't recommend this for everybody. You know your face best, but I know that if I don't put a little bit of powder here, then any eyeshadow that I put on my waterline or my under waterline here on the bottom lid is going to smudge. So I'm going to just do a little tiny bit. It's really important to have a brush that you can control. I actually learned this trick from Britt. She is our director of education. She's amazing, and she is the one who is in charge of our Blushington Academy courses. But I learned this trick from her. Prior to meeting her and learning about this, I did not wear powder under my eye because I felt like it looked terrible. But then I would also get my concealer creasing. So I did have to find a happy balance. It takes some practice. It takes some trying of new products. Once you have set your whole lid, then you want to grab your face products because we want to finish our face. We're going to let that seep in. Now, when I prime everything, I prime my lids, my face, and my lips. Make sure you're priming your lips. We are doing a lipstick today, so for everybody. Oh, and I am using Bedelium brushes. I just got it in the chat. I am actually using a powder that that comes in your Blushington Academy kit. It's from Revlon, so I'm pretty happy with that. I'm using the Jouer Essential Lip Enhancer. And I'm using this because it really, really hydrates the lip. I find that with chapstick, I'm always reapplying, like all the time. Like it'll be gone in an hour. This is really important stage if you're gonna wear lipstick, because especially today I'm gonna be using glitter and I'm gonna be using a liquid lipstick. And these are very drying. So it's important to remember that your lips are part of your skin as well. And we have to keep them hydrated. We've got to exfoliate them. We do have products on blushington.com for exfoliation. If you are wondering about that, we have a Sarah Happ lip scrub and a clay mask for the lips, and that will keep them nice and hydrated. So once I have put my hydrating lip enhancer on, I'm going to grab my blush. This is the Stila Convertible Color. We have this available on Blushington, so if this is something you want to try out, remember that Love 20, you get 20% off. Mine looks ugly because I use it so much, so I barely have anything left. Obviously, you know that I use it a lot, and it's one of my favorite products because there's like nothing left. But I absolutely love cream blush. So this part, you want to find the apple of your cheek. I'm very cheeky, so I'm a very great example for this. When you smile, you see this nice ball. Yep, right there. That is your apple of your cheek. So that's the apple. Now for me, I don't like to put my blush right on the apple because, like I said, I'm very cheeky and I like to take some of that cheek down just a tad. So I like to put my blush on the back of my cheek. So you see I have this ball here. I'm gonna put it on the back and I'm gonna dab it on with my cream blush and I'm going to dab it with my fingers. Like I said, lots of cream products or liquid products really do work better with your finger just because the warmth from your hand helps to kind of melt it into the skin. And you want to go upwards towards the cheekbone. When you add your bronzer, it should marry very well together. And the good thing about cream blush is if you're bad at it, you can always add more. You can stop and look at yourself and you can add more. It's not easy to mess up because if you get too much, you can blend it out a lot easier than you can with a powder blush, in my opinion. And if you guys haven't noticed, if you're doing Zoom meetings all the time for work or school, the camera on Zoom is a liar. So when you do your makeup in real life, it might look wonderful, but then you get on Zoom and you can't see it. And you're like, why do I look washed out? Why do I look terrible? Why is the only thing I can see in the screen my designer eye bags? There we go. Fun story. Usually if I go sit in someone else's chair and have my makeup done, a lot of times they look at the fact that I have redness on my face and they assume that I have a pink undertone, so then they make my whole face pink. I'm not pink. So I have irritation, I have eczema, I have skin problems, I have acne. So all of those things contribute to that redness. So it's really important to make sure that if you do have redness in the face, that it is actually a sign of like irritation and not just your undertone. Having a pink undertone and being pink are totally, you know, different things. But a lot of people, because they have redness in their face, are afraid to use blush. Don't be afraid to use blush. We want blush. We want blush where we need it. Take down that redness with other products because we don't want our whole face to be red, but we do want some flush in our cheeks. And the whole idea with makeup is that you're taking away the redness where you don't want it and you're putting the color where you do want it. I also like to add a little blush on my lids. So if you have leftover product on your finger, you can always really quickly just go over. You could just use regular blush too, guys. I actually, because I know not everybody has a cream blush, I'm gonna show you how to do both. So this is my blush bouquet from Jouer. I like it because it's got two different ones that can kind of fluctuate with me during the seasons. So to do the same thing I just did with the cream, you do want to make sure you have like an angled brush, something that's small. You don't want to go in with like this, you know, this is huge. This is my whole face. What's going to happen is my whole face is going to be red. So you want to make sure that you're using something that you can control. I really like to dab into the product, and then you want to tap off any excess. You can literally see the powder flying, and I would look like a clown if I had that much blush on. So same thing, you want to smile, find the back of your cheek, and you want to dab it on. Bring it up into the cheekbone. Sometimes I do use both, if only because I'm extra and I want like an extra coverage, and because as much as I love natural makeup, I'm completely opposite. I'm like, put it all on me, all of it. I'm also going to use this blush that I have left over on my brush to get the top of my eyelids and kind of bring that natural flush that we have when we wake up in the morning. So now we can lie to people and tell them that we woke up like this. So your next step is going to be your bronzer. My favorite bronzer of all time is by Galactic. We do sell this at Blushington. It is also on my top 15 products if you were to go and shop with me today online. Once again, I hit pan, so you know that I use this a lot. And I'm going to actually use the same brush that I used for my blush because we're marrying them together anyway, so why not? Also, if you tan normally, you will know that if you went to the beach, you probably got a little bit of a pink flush to you. So naturally, your tan is not just going to be brown. A lot of bronzers have orange and red hues in them, but if you are on the paler side and you're very fair, you're going to want to reach for a bronzer that has a lot more of an ashy tone to it, something more gray to mimic your natural color when you tan. Damp it off. Now, you want to make sure that you're applying your bronzer correctly. Bronzer and contour are not the same. A lot of people think they are. Bronzing is supposed to make you look like you've seen the sun. Contour is supposed to add shadows where you want to make things look more pushed back and highlight where you want to accentuate your features. I like to use this as a template. So if you put a brush or something flat, a pen or something, straight where your ear is, then you're going to see you don't want to go below this line. If you go below this line, you could very fast make yourself look saggy, and who wants that? So we are going to use this as a template. And I'm dabbing, I'm not wiping. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I've had to learn how to layer my makeup. I can't wear just everything at one time. My skin is very dry. I have problematic and textured skin. And if I mess up the layers that I have going on by wiping, then I just wasted the last 30 minutes doing this. So I really like to dab it in. And once you get to your temple, you want to really start to dab this in and push it into the hairline. That's really what you want, because if we did have a tan and we weren't like stuck in the house all the time, you'd probably get tan on the top of your head from walking around. So you want to really get that into your hairline. This step for me is what like makes the biggest difference. I can't leave my house without bronzer. Especially if I have a tan. If you do get airbrush tans or spray tans, try to have more than one bronzer. Have one bronzer that matches your tan when you get a spray tan or an airbrush tan, so you don't look silly. But the face, since we're always washing our faces and we're wearing makeup all the time and we have more oil, we have our T-zone, we exfoliate more, we do wash our face a little bit more. That means that the skin exfoliation rate on your face is a little bit quicker than the rest of your body. So if you do get an airbrush tan or spray tan frequently, you'll notice your face is the first thing to fade. Your face is going to be completely pale and the rest of you will be beautiful and bronzed forever. So get a bronzer that matches. Yes, and I just got a question in the chat if darker skin tones should wear bronzer, and the answer is yes, 100%. Everybody can tan. The trick is just finding a bronzer that matches how you naturally tan, the tone that you take on naturally in the sun. If you need a shade recommendation, feel free to find me after class or send that in the chat. I don't mind recommending. We have lots of great options online. One of which, let me actually show you one of my other favorite bronzers. This is also from Jouer. So I have sunlight and suntan, but they come in both deep skin tones as well as lighter skin tones. So definitely check us out online if you have not ventured out or tried many bronzers. The Galactic one is good as well, but it doesn't, we only have 2 shade options, so it's not for everyone. We do have, I'm using Casablanca, but I will say that Galactic Cabo is really, really great for really paler skin tones because it's got more of a gray or an ashy brown versus an orange or a red brown. With the bronzer, you really can go as deep as you want. You can take it as far as you want if you want to look really tan, if you just want to look lightly sun-kissed. But you do want to make sure you're also bringing it down on the neck. And you want to make sure you're getting underneath your jaw a little bit. This is like a light contour. And like I said, bronzing is not the same as contouring. However, I don't want my neck to be 10 shades lighter than my newfound tan that I have just applied to my face. So definitely bring it down. If you're wearing a very low cut top, I would say sprinkle a little bit down there as well. If you're not comfortable, if you've got a really deep tone and you feel like you don't want to make yourself any tanner than you already look, then I could suggest doing a reverse contour, which is where you just brighten up your highlight a little bit more, which in turn makes the perimeter of the face mimic a suntan, if that makes sense. So we actually at Blushington, we teach both group classes and makeup one-on-ones. So if you personally feel like you're really struggling with one or two aspects in your makeup routine, or you don't know what's missing from your makeup bag, but your makeup's just not looking right, definitely think about a one-on-one and write down all the issues that you have so that we can help you out with them. Because chances are we've probably seen it already. I also like to get a little bit of bronzer underneath my nose. I just feel like it makes it look a little cute. I like to get a little bit on the nose as well. Naturally, if I were to tan, your nose sticks out from your face, so it's like the first thing to get a tan, or sunburned in some cases. Sometimes I'll even throw a little blush on the tip of my nose to mimic that little sun-kissed look. I think I might do that today. Take a little bit. Just a little. Made a difference. Now for my contour, I'm going to be using something with a little bit of a gray. So you can see the difference here between my bronzer and my contour. Bronzer, contour. The reason why you want to do gray, like a grayer, shadowy color for your contour, is because you're trying to mimic a shadow on your face. I'm going to use the same brush. And I'm going to go right where I want it to look like my cheekbone is indented. Very, very light. If you're not comfortable with this and you're scared you're going to get too much, highly, highly recommend a fan brush. This is the best trick for anybody who doesn't know how to contour. You want to really get it in your product, like so. And because it's a fan, it makes a nice straight line. So you don't have to worry about making that line by yourself. So I'll show you on this side what I'm doing here. I'm just going and making a line, and it's nice and blended out enough . Someone just asked me if my bronzer is as light as it looks on the camera. It is actually as light as it looks on the camera, because on me it looks really dark because this is not my skin tone. For somebody with a deeper skin tone, this might not be a dark enough bronzer, which is why I definitely recommend, if you do have a deeper skin tone than I do, to check out Jouer on our website. Those bronzers are phenomenal on our deeper skinned ladies. And then right here, this is how I contour the nose. Nice fan brush, nice and straight. I don't have to do any work. Because if I used something that was too big, very quickly you would see that I would take like a new level to brown nose, right? Call me a brown noser, my nose would be all brown. So the differences between the contour shade and your bronzer should be like this. So you see my bronzer has some orange hues in it, mimics a suntan, while my contour color is more gray, because I don't want to put gray all over my face. I just want the gray to mimic a shadow where there's not one. And I also really like to take this fan brush and sculpt out my chin. I really like to get right underneath my jaw and right behind the ear. For a liquid contour, there's actually a million options that you can use. Contouring, you can use anything. You can also use eyeshadow for contouring. Is the bronzer? The bronzers that I have talked about today and the contour shades that I've talked about today are from Galactic and from Jouer. Where did I put it? Oh, here it is. There we go. So you guys can see. Galactic and Jouer. And yes, you can use eyeshadow for contouring. Thank you, Lena. I know tons of people who use eyeshadows for contouring. Just like I said, make sure you've got a brush that you can control. That way you don't get it everywhere, because you can very quickly make other parts of the face gray that we don't want to be gray. For liquid contouring, super simple. You can do it with anything. Contouring is just creating depth to the face and light to the face. So you can use a BB cream. If you were doing a BB cream, I would suggest having one shade that's exactly your skin tone, one shade that's 1 to 2 shades lighter, and one shade that's 1 to 2 shades darker. So if you want to do a contour, but you don't want the really heavy Kim K makeup, definitely do it with your BB cream or your CC cream. We also have these amazing products on Blushington that I just fell in love with like a month ago, and they're actually BB cream crayons. So I have to show you guys these. So these are BB cream crayons, and I have been experimenting with them because they're a lot lighter of a coverage than a concealer, but because they're a nice pen form, you can still go ahead and sculpt out your face and do the Kim K thing without the makeup feeling like a mask. Contour can be done with anything. Coverage is a whole nother story, but you don't want to contour yourself with something that has a coverage you're not comfortable with. And a lot of people reach for the cream concealers, which are amazing, but if you're not used to wearing that makeup, it's going to feel like too much. So now that we've gone ahead and we've sculpted out the face, we're going to go ahead and move on to the eyes. Grab your eyeshadows, ladies. So for beginners, I always recommend just picking 3 shades. It could be in any color family, but you want to have one that's light, one that's mid-tone, and one that's deeper. So whatever colors you guys want to choose, by all means, go for it. I'll show you what I'm working with today. This is my very favorite Petite and Pretty eyeshadow palette. It's nice and small. I'm a lazy girl. I don't like to have to find a million things. So I have all the colors that I love here. My shimmer, there's a blush. It's awesome. You could do a lot with this palette. So first and foremost, I want to tell you guys about brushes. Eyeshadow rules, there are only 2. And it is that you need to have the correct placement and you need to know how to blend. These are packing brushes, okay? So you can see here that they're nice and flat and wide, just like your eye. Versus this, a fluffy brush, or any of these are all fluffy. These are for blending. Fluffy, blending. Flat and wide, packing. A lot of times people will try to do their whole eyeshadow with these fluffy blending brushes and they'll wonder why the pigment is not as strong as they want it to be, and it's because these are meant to blend that pigment out versus packing it on where you want it. So everyone's eye shape is different. I'm going to share my screen with you guys really quick because I want you to be able to see and know what I'm talking about. So this is a diagram of your eye, or of a eye. Notice that we have the brow bone here, we have the area above the crease, we have our crease, we have the deep crease, which is on the outside corner of the eye, and then we have our outer lid corner, the middle of the lid, inner lid, and the inner corner and the tear duct. I want you guys to be able to get familiar with this placement because that way you know what I'm talking about when I'm telling you where to put your colors. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing. Great. Great. So my first color that I'm going to pick is one that is about 1 to 2 shades lighter than my skin tone. Like I said, the color here doesn't matter. If you're using pink, then make sure that this color is the lightest pink that you're using for your first color. If you're using blue, make sure you're using the lightest blue. So I'm using a cream tone. So I'm going to go in with this shoreline or shorefront here. And I'm really going to load up the color on my brush, tap it off. And then I'm just going to get it all over the middle of my lid. So you'll notice I'm using it really where the round part of my eyelid is. If you're not sure where your own crease is, go ahead and feel around for it on your eye. Where your eyeball ends and your brow bone begins, that is your crease. So you'll notice here I'm really packing. I'm not wiping. I'm not going in a circular motion. I am packing that color onto my lid because I want that pigment to be nice and vibrant. If you're using a crazy color like black or gray, I definitely suggest doing your eyes first because you can get a lot of fallout underneath. If you are worried about ruining the makeup you just did, I highly recommend using a paper towel. I'll show you what I do if I'm in a rush. I'll just bend it, fold it up, and put it right underneath my eye like this so that I don't get my eyeshadow everywhere. So now that I have my first shade on, I'm gonna go in with my second shade. I'm going in with my mid-tone, so you should be taking your mid-tone. We already applied the lightest color that we're gonna use today. Go ahead with your mid-tone now. I'm going to use a similar brush. This is also a packing brush. This is the first one that I used, but since I wanted this one in a larger area of my lid, I used a larger brush. I want more control this time. So I'm gonna go in with this Coconuts, and I am going to apply it just above my lid crease. So just above my crease. I'm not gonna bring it all the way to the inside corner of my eye. I'm gonna start in the middle, and I'm actually going to venture straight out. I'm not gonna follow my natural shape of my eye because it could make my eyes look smaller. So I'm gonna go straight out, pretending like I would maybe wanna meet my eyebrow, but we don't wanna go that far. When you're placing the color, I suggest doing it in a motion that is diagonal so that you're bringing it towards your lash line and not out into your brow, because if we blend out too far this direction, we're gonna very quickly blow it out so that it's in our brows. So I'm just gonna place it where I want it. Now we're doing a pretty bold lip today, so I'm going to keep the eyes a little bit more simple. Now I'm gonna go ahead and grab a fluffy brush that's clean fluffy. This is especially important for beginners. If you struggle with blending, you don't wanna go right on the color. You can see where my line is, right? I placed it where I want it. Now I'm gonna go right above the color, and I'm going to very gently blend it out in the shape of my brow bone. Kind of like I'm trying to get this color blended into my brow, but you still want to leave space underneath your brow. As long as you've got some space there, like the diagram I showed you guys, you should be fine. So now we're going to hit color number 3. I'm going in with Bahama Nirvana. I personally love this for myself because I do have blue eyes, so this brown is not just a gray brown. It's got some like burgundy hues in it, which are really gonna bring out anyone who has a hazel eye, a green eye, blue eyes. If you have brown eyes, you would look phenomenal in like a bronze, something that has a little bit of gold in it, and that will bring out any golden hues in your brown eyes. So once again, I'm going to use my small brush because this is a dark color, so I want it really concentrated in one spot. I don't want to look like somebody punched me in the face, which could happen very quickly with a smoky eye. So here I am going to actually apply this to my outer corner, my lash line, just a tad. And I'm going to bring it up to marry that straight out line that I created with my mid-tone color. And I'm blending downwards towards my lashes so that if I mess up, it's in an area that I can control and not in my brows, because I already came on with brows today. If you want an eyebrow tutorial, definitely look into our eyes only class. You'll be able to just take tips for eyes. You don't have to learn how to do your whole makeup if you're happy with how you're doing your foundation. Same thing, outside corner, really blending it into my crease, marrying it with my mid-tone shade. And if you feel like you can see a line from your eyeshadow, you know the trick. Just grab a fluffy brush, get right under the brow, and use that excess translucent powder that we use to set the eyeshadow primer and concealer to really blend out any line of demarcation. Next, we're gonna go ahead and tight line, my very favorite thing. If you do nothing else with your eyes, make sure you're doing a tight line. The two products that I go to first are always gonna be my Smudge Stick waterproof twist up liners by Stila. They are my absolute fave. I would normally recommend brown for like every day, but because I'm on camera reads better black, so I'm gonna use the black. This is in Stingray. This is also available on my shop. I'm gonna get right underneath my eyelashes, and I'm going to get my waterline and pretend like I am filling in the gaps between my lashes. Boys don't have gaps in their lashes, so just pretend like you were trying to make your eyelashes look like the men in your life. For whatever reason, they're always blessed with perfectly long, full lashes. If you're not, that's okay, we could fake it. And I like to do a little bit on the outside corner on my bottom waterline, but not too much. Just a little to give me some depth. And I'm using my finger to kind of blend any of the excess around the area into the crease to accentuate my smoky eye. My very light smoky eye. If you have a setting spray and your favorite shimmery eyeshadow, go ahead and grab that. This is a really quick trick. I use Gerard's Slay All Day setting spray, and I like to use it on a tiny brush. This is my brush of choice. I'm gonna spritz my brush with my setting spray, and I'm going to dig into this nice shimmer color here. This setting spray is gonna turn this into like a liquid eyeshadow, so I don't have to worry about the glitter getting everywhere. It also glides on a lot better in my opinion. This is my favorite, like one of my favorite parts. So I'm gonna get the inside corner of my eye, and I'm really gonna get the round part of my eye as well. This is what's gonna create beautiful shimmer. Oh, I love it. It's my very favorite. And really get the inside corner too. I'm gonna get a little bit on the bottom. If you feel like this glitter is getting out of control, spritz again. And the shimmer really does give more depth to the eye. If you're like me and you have close set eyes, then the shimmer is a must right here where the nose and your brow bone meet, because otherwise it looks like you have more of a shadow casted in your eye and makes you look too dark. We want to also curl the lashes because we are going to be putting on fake lashes today. Do that real quick. I have already trimmed my lashes, but you want to make sure you trim yours. I'm using Ardell. We sell these on Blushington. I absolutely love the wispies. I think you will too. And I'm using tweezers from Tweezerman. So the first thing that I like to do is I like to actually, I like to put the glue on my lashes while I do my mascara so that it dries in time. So I'm gonna go ahead and coat my lash band with the glue that I'm using. There's tons of options for glue. Sometimes I use dark glue so that it mimics an eyeliner. But if my allergies are really bad, I don't do that because it just gets kind of smudgy. But I'm gonna coat both of these lashes in the glue because by the time I finish my mascara, these bad boys will be ready. And I always try to put more glue on the corners because for me, that's where I water, and if it's gonna lift, that's where it's gonna lift. Personally, I love doing individual lashes, but I don't always have the time. So this is a great way. I'm adding Stila Huge Lash Mascara to my lashes, and if only because I want them to blend with my falsies, and my natural lashes are blonde, so that's a problem in itself. But it also kind of helps them stick and adhere to your eye. I never ever go in the bottom with a freshly dipped mascara wand. I usually use the excess left over from my top lashes for my bottom ones. Otherwise, it's a sure way to get a black eye. Or just to get it everywhere in general. So I'm grabbing my lash. It's already trimmed so that it fits me perfectly. Putting it right under the little ridge that I have. You'll notice that your lashes grow out of a little bit of a ridge, and that's really where you want to get them because that's where they're going to look the most natural. I also like to squeeze them together. With my tweezers. People try to put them on with their eyes closed. If you figure out a way to put on your eyelashes with them closed, let me know, because I have not been successful with doing anything with my eyes closed. So highly recommend keeping the eyes open, focusing on your own eyes in the mirror, like focus on one spot. If you're a waterer, this is a trick that I learned. You're gonna go ahead and throw your head back, and you're gonna take a very deep breath in with your nose. And that's gonna like suck up all the tears. I know it's crazy, but it works. It's gonna suck up all the tears. So if you are crying or you're about to cry, you know what you have to do. Head back, deep breath in with your nose. Fab, like look, oh my gosh. See, my face is just not complete without lashes. Last but not least, we are gonna get into our lips. Normally I would do a lip liner, but since I'm using a liquid lipstick today, there's really no need. I will say though, it is kind of beneficial to have like disposable lip wands. Obviously I have them because I'm a makeup artist, but I find that with liquid lipstick, it can be too saturated if you just pull it right out of the tube, and you can't, like, that's too much product. So I personally like to use the clean disposable wand when I'm going around my lips to line them so that I don't mess up and get too much. Because remember, you can always add more. But if you go in heavy-handed and you get too much, only a makeup wipe can save you. And that's gonna take more time because you're gonna have to start over, reblend everything. So I have the perfect amount here on my lips. Keep in mind that everybody's lips are not symmetrical. You're gonna have one rounded Cupid's bow and one pointy Cupid's bow. Now it's up to you to match whatever one you wanna do and which one you like best. Personally, my favorite side of my lip is gonna be my left side, but I will say that the other side, because it's round, it's really hard to make a point where there's not one. So I, rule of thumb, say it's a little bit easier to match something that's rounded than it is to draw a point where there's not one. So I'm gonna be matching my pointy lip to my round lip today. I'm gonna start right in the middle with a line, and then I have a little bit of highlighter up top here. Sometimes your chapstick will do that too, but you wanna match the lip. A lot of women think that because they don't have color where the ridge of their lip is, that they shouldn't draw their lip there. But if your lip flips up there, the color was probably there at one point. It starts to fade. The lip line, natural lip line is like the first thing to fade as we get older. So you'll see newborn babies, they have perfectly pink plush lips, and they've got a white little line all around. That is the line you kind of want to follow if you're gonna overdraw. And if we don't have it anymore, we have to recreate it. Corners of the mouth are always hard for people, so I always say make a yawning position. If you don't have a disposable lip brush, you can also use a regular brush. And then for the underneath of your lips, and this is whether you're using a pencil or a liquid lip, you always want to smile with your teeth. It's gonna bring out all the like little lines in the lip so that you don't get any issues. So smile with the teeth and get right under there. We're doing red today because it's Valentine's Day. You can't have Valentine's Day without a red lip. Awesome. So now that I look thoroughly silly, I'm going to grab the rest of my lipstick and fill in the lines. If you mess up, concealer's a lifesaver. How's everyone doing? Are we doing okay? Is anyone struggling, or are we following along pretty easily? Great, I love it. Now I always have issues with the corner of my mouth because my lips are slightly turned up. So it always looks insane. So what I like to do is either with a concealer brush or your finger, you wanna kind of go in and thin out the area that's right at the corner of the mouth. So I'm just gonna take my finger. Obviously finger needs to be clean. You can't do this if you've already touched red lipstick. You're gonna be all pink. And I just cleaned it up just a tad, just like that. And if you have a makeup wipe, you can wipe off your finger so you have another clean finger, or you can use your other hand, whatever works. Baby wipe, sanitizer, whatever you want to do. And then do the same thing on the side. If you mess up too bad, you can always grab a Q-tip. Everything gets thinner at the corners, so just make sure it shouldn't be all the same around. Now we're gonna get to the glitter. Now this could be crazy. I know most people are probably terrified. Glitter gets everywhere. I'm using a Ben Nye glitter. Unfortunately, I don't think we have these available online, but we do have some liquid glitter eyeshadows that I am like obsessed with by Stila. Now for this, I'm going to use a very small brush that I can have control over. So I'm actually going to use a packing brush similar to what I used on my eyes. And you really, really want to saturate your brush with the setting spray or that glitter is going to go everywhere. If you want it to last all day, you could even put a little bit of glue on your lips, which I actually am going to put a little bit. It's not lash glue, it's just a nice light glue, but you can also use a gloss for the short term. So for the glitter, I recommend using my little paper towel trick as well, so you don't get glitter everywhere. I'm gonna really saturate my brush. Like I said, the wetter your brush is, the easier this is gonna be. Gonna dip into my glitter so you can see how much I have here. I'm gonna go and really just pack it on. I don't want to say I'm in love, but I am. I don't think I'm ever going to take this lip off, ever. You really want to tap on the glitter if that's what you're doing. And voila, we are done. Don't forget to set your makeup. It's really important that you set yourself. I could like bathe in this stuff. Glitter, highlighter, all of it. How do we feel, guys? Do we like this? I would love to hear a little bit of feedback. You want to throw it in the chat? How did your look come out? Let me see here. I have some of your Violet. How are you feeling?
Good. I'm doing eyeliner right now.
It looks great. I love it. You guys are doing such a good job. Keegan, how did you like it? Hi, so good to see you. Oh, you're on mute.
It was super fun. I really enjoyed it.
I'm so happy. Did we learn something a little extra?
Always, always.
Awesome. Bree, tell me about your look today. I love those red lips. You look amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I just like used what I had, and I'm having a little trouble with my lips because I'm not very good at using liquid lipstick, but yeah, I really like it.
It takes practice and it looks great. So keep it up. Your eyes look great too. Ellie, your lips are fantastic. Those eyes. Did you learn something today?
No, actually, I had a great time. Here's my question. Where can you get, because I just have like almost like a silver like lip glitter, but I like the red. Where can you get that? 'Cause I order it through Blushington.
So I wish that Blushington had glitters. I'm sure that we are trying to find, and like I said, most of our brands are curated. We try to go for female-founded brands. So I believe that my glitter is probably outside of that realm. But we do have Ben Nye. So if you don't know who Ben Nye is, they sell like professional grade glitters and products. But I'm sure that you could Google, and there's a ton of different like glitters out there. I'm a glitter queen, so.
Oh my God. Yeah, it made me like laugh when you said extra. My sister's always like, "Oh my God, you're so extra." I'm like,
We like extra. Extra is perfect for makeup.
I wasn't so old and wear a tutu, right? I mean, yeah, totally. Yeah, for sure.
Makeup looks amazing today. So I am so happy that you guys all came in today. I hope everyone took something that they could use every day, that they can do from home. If you're interested in any of the products that I talked about today, outside of the glitter, everything was used from Blushington. So you can purchase all of that online. And today you're gonna get that 20% off. You can always come and shop with me or request a one-on-one class with me. And you can follow me on Instagram. I'm Blushington's friend. Thank you guys for coming. Happy Valentine's Day. Happy Galentine's Day. Work it, ladies. Go somewhere.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Good night.